Today, we're going to dig in and ask the big question. Are you being sabotaged in your business? Whoa, nefarious.
I'm David C. Barnett, and you're tuned in to Small Business and Deal Making, the podcast, YouTube channel, and blog where I talk about buying, selling, financing, and managing small and medium sized businesses while controlling risk. So, if you're looking to take control of your future through buying a business one day, or if you already own a business and you're looking to grow or exit, you've come to the right place. I talk about interesting things, I talk to interesting people, and I answer your questions every week right here. So, be sure to hit like and be sure to hit subscribe, and let's get to it. Special thanks go to today's video sponsor, Mark Willis of Lake Growth Financial. Mark helps people better manage their personal wealth and business finances through the Bank on Yourself insurance strategy. This is something I've done personally and have gotten lots of positive feedback from people I've worked with over the years. Go to newbankingsolution.com to find a playlist of all the interviews I've done with Mark and to learn more about the advantages of these programs. While there, sign up to arrange a conversation about what this solution might look like for you.
Awesome. So, and by the way, I've heard from several people who have already spoken to Mark and given me lots of positive feedback that they've been really happy about their conversation with him. And for the people who've signed up and actually done it, they're telling me that they wish they had known about it years earlier. So if you've ever seen me play that ad from channel sponsor Mark Willis and you're curious about it, go over newbankingsolution.com. There's 5 videos that I've made over the years with Mark. You can learn a lot more about what it is that he does, and reach out to him if it's something that you're interested in learning more about, because he can break it down and show you how it can fit into your own personal solution quite easily, personal situation. So sabotage, right? You're on this channel because either you're in business already and you're maybe thinking about selling one day, or you're looking to buy a business. And if you are a business owner or you're looking to buy a business, that means you are going to be a business operator most of the time, right? Very, very, very few people buy a business and have asked somebody else run it. And if they do, they usually get in there and run it and learn it and develop the systems and processes and everything before they step back and let somebody else run it, so that they actually know what to observe to make sure the business is still being managed properly. So if you're going to be an operator, it's important to understand the signs of sabotage, right? So I subscribe to a lot of different stuff, and there's this one thing I'm going to share with you here today. This comes through Substack. It's called Extreme Outsourcing, and it's from a guy named John Matzner. And this came out at the end of March, and it's one of the different things I subscribe to. And I took a read of this article, and I thought, wow, I need to share this with my audience on YouTube, because I can certainly tell you that in the careers that I've had in my different positions with large companies, I now wonder if some of the people I was working with were looking for ways to sabotage those organizations. So let me dig into this, because I know you're going to find this interesting. So this is now declassified, and so this is coming to us from in 1944, the predecessor of the CIA, which was called the Office of Strategic Services. They wrote a manual called Simple Sabotage Field Manual, right? And so the idea was, how do we get our agents who might be involved in enemy organizations to sabotage the efforts of those organizations in a wartime effort, right? So it's now declassified. The manual was once distributed to OSS officers abroad to assist them in training citizen saboteurs. So in occupied countries like France. So if you can imagine, occupied France, there would be these civil organizations, parts of the former government that were now part of the, you know, um, occupying governing system. And so these are regular folks who may have been involved in things that would lead ultimately to helping or not helping the occupying force. So, if you were like some kind of civil servant in the French railroad organization, for example, then you might actually be doing things that would cause, maintenance or repair efforts to be more efficient or not efficient, that would either help or hinder the occupying force, right? So training some of these people who were not necessarily combatants could have a serious impact on what was happening, in the war, right? This is great though, because the behaviors and things that this general instructed, these citizens to do, these citizen saboteurs to do, I've seen these behaviors in organizations that I've been a part of, right? And so it's a great little kind of checklist to recognize when you may have a human resource problem that you may need to address. Not specifically that someone may be, nefarious outside entity may be trying to sabotage your business, but if these behaviors are showing up in individuals in your organization, it could be a clue to you that it may be time to think about a little bit of turnover. That could be helpful. So, number one, how to sabotage an organization from within. Number one, insist on doing everything through channels. Never permit shortcuts to be taken in order to expedite decisions. So, you're trying to delegate authority to people within your organization so that you don't have to be the one that makes every decision. And if you have employees that refuse to accept the delegated authority that amongst themselves insist on continuously going back to you, that would be an example of number 1. They're trying to delay decision-making power that you've pushed down the channels. They wanna keep coming back up to you. And what does it do? It causes delay, right? In the, you know, eternal words of Sir Topham Hatt, causing confusion and delay, right? Number 2, make speeches. Talk as frequently as possible and at great lengths. I used to work with a guy in a produce store that if you let him, would go off for 25 minutes about, the proper way to unload a truck or something. And we'd all stand around listening to this guy. And people would say, like, wow, we're not really working very hard here because we're listening to this guy. Right. So if you've got someone who makes speeches, who talks too much, can be a problem. It causes a drain on your entire labor rate because you're literally paying people to stand around and listen to someone make a speech. Number 3, when possible, refer all matters to a group meeting for further study and consideration. Attempt to make the group meetings as large as possible, never less than 5, right? I've been in departments before in various organizations where we had all kinds of meetings. It was really hard for me to get my work done when I was always being dragged into a meeting. Number 4, bring up irrelevant issues as frequently as possible, right? So, this is you're trying to get business done and someone keeps talking about something to do with the parking lot or something, things that just don't impact the day to day of the organization or how you're trying to help your customers. They keep bringing up these same things over and over again. It's either got to be something that you can deal with and get it off the table, or question, why do they keep bringing up this issue? Number 5, haggle over precise wordings of communications. Number 6, refer back to matters decided upon at the last meeting and attempt to reopen the question of the advisability of that decision. So, continuous rehashing of things that have already been put to bed. And again, if you're the owner of the organization and you're the boss and you make decisions, you should be able to snuff some of this stuff out and say, no, that was decided. But if someone keeps bringing it up over and over and over again, they won't accept the authority behind the decision that's been made and move forward. Then you have to start to wonder, like, why does this person keep wasting our time? Number 7, demand written instructions for everything. So, I've seen this before where people are like, "Well, I know that I was told to do that, but it's not in my job description," or "I haven't gotten a memo specifically outlining exactly how it's supposed to be done," or something like foolish like that. Number 8, misunderstand your orders. Ask endless questions or engage in long correspondence about such orders. Quibble over them when you can. So again, just confusion and delay. Number 9, do everything possible to delay the delivery of communications. Even though parts of a communication may be ready beforehand, don't deliver it until it is completely ready. So again, these are the people who constrain access to information because it gives them power within the organization of your business. So they try to control information, they hold back stuff from other people because it makes them more important, and again causes other people to be less effective, less efficient, overall increases the overhead burden of your organization, making you less competitive. Number 10, in making work assignments, always assign the unimportant jobs first. Just, um, to again, not being expedient. There was this great um, story I remember from when back in the first satellites were going up into space, and the Russians had put up Sputnik, and Sputnik was broadcasting radio signals back to Earth, little bits of information. And when the Americans would analyze the information, they were trying to figure out, why things seemed to be backwards. And then later, when the Iron Curtain came down, and they were talking to some of those Soviet era space people, they simply said, well, we were worried that we might lose the reception of the signal, so we put the most important bits of information in the broadcast first, so that if the signal degraded and we couldn't get the last part of the transmission, we would get the most important pieces of data. So you want to prioritize things that are important, obviously. um, Insist on number 11, insist on perfect work in relatively unimportant products. Send back for refinishing those which have the least flaws. Approve other defective parts whose flaws are not visible to the naked eye. So over the weekend, I posted on this was a couple weeks ago from when you're going to see this, but I posted on Twitter that I fixed my vacuum cleaner with a 3-inch wood screw. A little plastic tab had broken. I drilled a couple holes, put the screw through, and it seemed to hold. And one of the respondents simply said, "If it fits, it ships." Right. And so what they're saying here is that if it looks okay, send it along. It's not your problem. But obviously, if you're in business and you're shipping products that aren't going to work properly, then the cost of managing the returns, the customer service, the repair work obviously are much larger than if it had been dealt with upfront in advance. And so you have to ask yourself, are we properly creating incentives so that workers want to make sure that quality products get shipped, and we're not creating excess work for the after sale, support process. And this would be, obviously highlighted by problems that people had in auto manufacturing, particularly in the 70s and 80s, where um, you know employees were not incentivized to stop the line when they saw a problem. And when they changed things, when they said, okay, we want you to stop the line if you see a problem so that we can avoid shipping cars with defects, then of course profitability, efficiency, customer satisfaction, all these things improved. So you want to watch out for people that are going to allow inferior product to get shipped. um, Number 12, when training new workers, give incomplete or misleading instructions, right? uh, so this can be avoided if you have proper structures and systems in your business. And one of the easiest things that you can do is go over to easysmallbizsystems.com. That's biz, easysmallbizsystems.com. I teach there in a very straightforward program how you can create systems in a business to avoid what I call training via folklore, which is what this is talking about. So if employees are learning just by having conversations one to the next, then it creates all kinds of opportunities for people to create inefficiencies. There, I made that bigger. Um, Number 13, to lower morale and with it production, be pleasant to inefficient workers, give them undeserved promotions, discriminate against efficient workers, and complain unjustly about their work. So, um, I've never worked in a unionized work environment, but I've known people who have. And one of the things that I've heard c- consistently about some unionized work environments is that if you show up and you're too efficient, there will very quickly be some social pressure on you to slow down so you don't make other people look bad. And that would be an example here of number 13. Number 14, hold meetings when there is more critical work to be done. Okay. Again, tie up everyone's time. Don't let people be efficient. Number 15, multiply paperwork in plausible ways. So create more bureaucracy whenever you can. Number 16, start duplicate files so that there's confusion between which file is current and all that kind of stuff. And I've had to deal with this in my own organization, working with assistants over the years, where I'll have a place where information is stored, and then people will make a copy of it, and then all of a sudden, now there's an issue of version control. Which version is the most recent? Which one are we using? It just creates confusion. Then you have to end up looking and comparing at the two versions, figuring out which one is which. So, purposefully doing this is a way to reduce efficiency in an organization. Number 17, multiply the procedures and clearances involved in issuing instructions, paychecks, and so on. See that three people have to approve everything where one would do, right? And I've seen people in private industry create processes that keep them in the loop. Again, making them powerful because systems break down if they're not there to do things. And so you don't want somebody creating, um, uh, building empires within your business, right? You want to be as efficient as possible. Number 18, apply all rules to the last letter. Very, very strict in following the rules. Number 19, do your work poorly and blame it on bad tools, machinery, or equipment. Complain that these things are preventing you from doing your job right, right? We've probably all had experience with an employee who's had this kind of attitude. Number 20, never pass on your skill and experience to a new or less skillful worker. Again, this has to do with power and control. So somebody feels that if they're the only ones capable of doing a certain thing, that then gives them job security. You want to have an environment where people are willing to share so that number one, you don't become reliant on that one individual. But I've always said, if that person passes their skills on to someone else, it means that they're now available for promotion. Otherwise, they're going to be stuck in that role forever. And if somebody is hanging on to that role, if they're keeping secrets close to their chest because they don't want to share, well, you know, when somebody works for you and you pay them, you're paying them for their time, their skills, and their efforts. And so if you direct them to share some of those skills and efforts with other people, then that's part of their job too. It's different with a contractor. If you hire someone to come in and do something on a contract basis, come in and set up, this new machine for us. Well, that person is probably not going to teach you everything that goes into how to properly set up a machine, but they should be teaching some of your employees how to maintain the machine, what to look out for, what are the signs of wear and tear, what are the signs that we need to call them back and have them address something, right? And so what part of somebody's employment should be that they are going to be sharing the things that they know to help develop further the team. You want to have that teamwork environment. You don't want to have these people that are controlling things by holding information tightly to their chest. Number 21, snarl up administration in every possible way. Fill out forms illegibly so that they will have to be done over. Make mistakes or omit requested information in forms. So again, confusion and delay whenever you can, and it's plausible or can be passed off as an error, right? Again, watch out for this kind of behavior. If it's the same person making the same mistakes over and over again, and they've been instructed to not do that, and they continue to do it, then it's a question, is this person long term really worth having as an employee? Or is their behavior, whether it's intentional or not, to sabotage the organization, is their behavior worth it? Because a person who's doing these kinds of things over and over again, they are costing you money because part of other employees' time, instead of being productive, is used to try to undo the confusion and delay created by the problem employee. Um, Number 22, give lengthy and incomprehensible explanations when questioned. Number 23, act stupid. I used to work with a guy who used to act stupid all the time. He wasn't stupid. He used to act stupid, though. Be as irritable and quarrelsome as possible without getting yourself into trouble. Yeah. So, back to the produce store that I used to work at. And I was a teenager when I worked there, like 14 years old. And yes, when you're 14 years old, you can have a job and you can start learning things about the workplace, how to show up on time, and all that kind of stuff. But I remember there was this one guy, and every time he felt like he was working too hard, he would start telling us stories about his friends that worked at the unionized grocery store and how they got more money and more vacation and all this kind of thing. And it was almost like he was a union organizer. He wasn't, but it was like he would be sowing these seeds of dissent and doubt and trying to change the attitude of his fellow workers to match his to become more of a negative Nelly against what management was trying to do. And I remember the day that, he came in late and the owner of the store finally said, you know what, I've had enough of everything about you and you're done. Go home and we'll give you your 2 weeks pay or whatnot. And within weeks, the attitude in the back room of that store changed dramatically. It was one of the best things that happened to me as an employee when that other guy was let go. And this is the other thing too, is that a lot of small business owners will see a tight labor market and they'll say, "Man, I can't. I can't let somebody go because I'll have a hard time replacing them. But what you may not realize is that person, it's not just a pair of hands working in your business. It's almost like they're less than one pair. They might even be negative because of the drag and problems they're creating with the other employees and the erosive effect that they're having on the attitude and work life of the other employees who may, be very happy to work and want to be productive and want to be efficient and want to see you succeed because ultimately it's the success of the business that guarantees the employment long term of the employees. And so I just thought this was a great list, and shout out to John Maxner at the Extreme Outsourcing Substack for putting that out. Um, and yeah, so anyway, thanks very much, everyone. If you are seriously considering buying a business one day, if you think that this is the way you want to go to get into the world of entrepreneurship more quickly, then I would highly recommend you head over to businessbuyeradvantage.com, where you can learn all about the different products and services that I offer, consulting, my online course, my coaching program. You can sign up for the Business Buyer Advantage online course, which recently got 3 new modules. And if you're a past student and you signed up before, just log in. They're there. You can enjoy them, no extra cost. When you sign up for Business Buyer Advantage, you have lifetime access to it. And I do add things. Usually, for the last couple of years, I've been adding things into that program. So, with that, we'll say see you later, and enjoy enjoy having you all. Thank you very much, guys. It's great. I like that people like to tune in, and I'm glad that my content is helping people. I get positive feedback about that all the time. It really makes me smile. And if you have anything to add about sabotaging behaviors that you've seen that you think people should be on the lookout for, just put them down there in the comments. I love checking out the comments, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
So, how can you learn more about buying, selling, financing, and managing small and medium sized businesses? Easy. Head over to my blog site at davidcbarnett.com. You'll find hundreds of articles and videos, all for free. You'll find links to my books and online courses, and you can sign up for my email list and get emails covering topics that interest you and be notified of new videos.